of tips that are very relatable to the last 3 Therapy Thursdays that we did, which was a 3-phase approach on Achilles tendon pain. This pertains to our first blog on Achilles tendinopathy, whereby we were going through isometric exercises. Now, primarily we were showing you exercises off the step with a leg straight, or we had it with a barbell like so. However, some more recent research that I was unaware of by a gentleman named Seth O'Neill showed that there appears to be a deficit in one of your 2 calf muscles, not both. That muscle in particular is called your soleus. So the way that your ankle works, this is called plantar flexion, so coming up and down on my toes. We have 2 major contributors. One is your big heart-shaped muscle that attaches above your knee, and one is underneath that and attaches below your knee down here. That second one's called the soleus. When we do a calf raise with our legs straight like so, it's preferential for that first one, the heart-shaped muscle called your gastrocnemius. When we do the same thing with my knee bent, now we've taken that top muscle out, and it's more preferential for that soleus muscle. What Seth O'Neill's research showed was in people with Achilles tendon pain, it's primarily the soleus that's problematic and not necessarily the gastroc. He even went as far as to suggest if you're going to choose one or the other, you should be doing the majority of your rehab with a bent knee position. So we're going to include this sort of as an addendum to our initial blog, again, that you can click on here to be able to see. We're going to show you a couple of ways you can increase the activation of your isometric contraction with a bent knee position. So the first one, we're going to use our right leg as an example. I'm going to stick that leg behind and I'm going to bend my knee like so. My hands are going to be up against something like a wall, and I'm going to push down on my toes and try to push the wall away from me as hard as I possibly can. Now, ideally, you're supposed to have a very, very strong contraction with these. If you remember, it's up to about 80% of its max. So I'm trying to really drive the wall away. I feel like big bulking in my calf and therefore my Achilles tendon. The second one is very similar. I'm going to grab something underneath, like a door handle, or I could use perhaps something like this, like a bookshelf or a kitchen counter. So I'm going to stand on one knee, or on my one leg, the problematic side, and I'm going to bend your knee. I'm going to grab underneath, and I'm going to pull up as hard as I possibly can, at the same time pushing down with my toes. Again, you're going to see a big increase in the contraction of your calf and therefore your Achilles. So those are 2 ideas to increase your contraction, make it a little bit more soleus dependent, and it should help with the Achilles tendon pain. We'll see you next week on Therapy Thursday. One last add-on after the fact. A great way to use this in practice is for your typical athlete in sport. So as an example, a runner that's running along starts to experience some Achilles tendon pain. We'll actually have them stop, find something like a chain link fence, do their 5 sets of really hard isometrics with their knee bent, and the pain should decrease enough that they can continue to run. We'll see you next week on Therapy Thursday.